when I come back, I think I'm gonna like get like fucking like 500 viewers or something. It's gonna be crazy. And then after a week, so you guys have to understand. Let me tell you guys the context. So the context was I'd gotten a week-long ban, and the day that I was getting unbanned on was Valentine's Day. And at the time, there was a girl that I had met, and we had like gone on a date. It went well. Nothing happened, obviously, because at the time it was like one of my first ever dates. And then afterwards, she had asked me out again for the following week, right? But I had told her, I was like, well, the day I'm getting unbanned is Valentine's Day, and I can't actually go out with you that day because I'm going to be streaming, right? Because I thought it was going to be a crazy return stream. So she sat there and she was messaging me. She was like, wait, what do you mean you won't be able to go out with me on Valentine's Day? And I was telling her, I was like, listen, I'm telling you, I'm getting unbanned that day. I have to stream. So then the girl sits there. She tries convincing me for an hour. I'm just telling her no. And then Valentine's Day comes around. When Valentine's Day comes around, I don't like message her anything at all. But before going live, I sent out a Snapchat to like 20 different people, like all my friends and shit, including her, where I said, going live on Twitch, come tune in. Then I check after, she opened the snap, didn't respond to it, and then next day I'd like message her in the morning something, and then she left me undelivered for 20 hours and never talked to me again. And I was like, fucking worth, dude. But yeah, that day I remember I'd gotten back, I was streaming, it was like 20 to 30 viewers, like it was actually chiller mode. Cause like I was used to like 5 to 10 viewers, but it was like 20 to 30, but I thought it would be like 500.
In his words, the drama hadn't given him much of a viewer boost. All it had done was brand him as a harasser and hurt his image.
Yep. So this is also completely true. So a lot of people thought like, oh yeah, that must have been really good for you, bro, huh? But it wasn't. And the reason why was because after that incident, everyone fucking hated me. Every single person. I would get in games and every single day, I would only read, oh, the sexual harasser. Like, you guys know how people will get into games with a Shinshin, and every day he has to read, like, a billion comments, like, calling him, like, pedo, this, that, whatever? It was, for me, the same thing except with sexual harasser, where every single day I'd be playing games, allied team, I'd have people inting me, enemy team, I'd have people stream sniping, target banning me, I'd have people, like, literally just, like, fanboying me, constantly, like, ganking my lane, teammates trolling me, like, every day for months and months and months on end. Literally for months straight. And after 3 months of this happening, then I had an entire group called L9QC, L9 Quebec, that sat there and they would just watch my stream as a group of 30 people, and every single day they wanted to make me as miserable as possible. Constant stream snipe, target ban, targeting, like every day. So for literally 8 months after that incident, I would stream 10 hours a day, and it was literally like getting shot at, killed. Like it was the most horrible experience ever, literally.
He continued to stream, and he didn't change his persona either. While he was maybe careful to not poke fun at anybody with a significant platform, at least for now, he still said out-of-the-pocket things on a regular basis, and his reputation as a sort of bad boy of Twitch continued to grow.
Yep.
What really got the ball rolling for Dantes, however, was the quarantine resulting from COVID-19 in March of 2020.
True. COVID made my career. COVID made my career, unironically. Global deaths be damned. That shit made my career. I'll take it. In-game.
Dantes instantly found himself with much more time on his hands, and his streaming schedule increased from its already frequent level as a result. For these reasons, Dantes stream, and from its already frequent level as a result.
Yeah, so one of the things that you have to understand as well about this whole thing is that while all this is going on, I'm in school. Keep this in mind, I was in college, okay? And what happens is that while I'm in college, I was sitting there and I'd only be able to stream when school is done. But then when COVID hit, it made it so that now, so you have to keep in mind that I went to this college, maybe like some of you are gonna know it, right? It was called VDIM in Quebec. And the problem was that it would literally be an hour and a half to 2 hours of commute every single day for me to get there. Like, I would have to wake up at like 5 a.m. to get to school for 8 a.m. And then if my classes ended at 5:30, I would get home at 7:30, work out, and then by then it's already 8. You know what I mean? Or it's already like 8:39. So I couldn't stream for literally 3 to 4 days a week. And the only days that I could stream, right, were Friday, Saturday, Sunday because I had off those days. But then near the end of the semester, I started skipping all my classes. And the reason why is because I said, hey, I'm failing calculus, I'm failing chemistry, and I show up to all the classes. What if I sit here and instead of showing up to my classes, I just don't show up to my classes, and the day before I just try studying on YouTube, you know? So then I stopped showing up to my classes, I started cutting more classes, and then I had more time to stream. But then when COVID hit, and I was actually able to play online, it gave me more time that I could actually sit there and I could actually stream. Because my classes would end at let's say 4. Okay, well cool. I can just start streaming at 4:05. You know what I mean? So it gave me a lot more time to start streaming. That's when I was able to take more seriously.
Had more time to stream, and everyone else had more time to watch streams.
Sure.
For these reasons, Dantes definitely received a boost from quarantine and said that by May of 2020, he was averaging about 50 viewers per broadcast.
Yep.
It's not a huge number, but for someone streaming less than a year, getting 50 people to constantly log on to Twitch to watch you play League is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It was around this time that Dantes met Karis Mai, a challenger-ranked Kane player who apparently saw some of Dantes' potential.
Yep.
And thought that he had a chance to make a name for himself. Karis Mai added Dantes to his auto-host list, and whenever Karis Mai's Twitch stream wasn't live, Dantes' channel was one of the channels on rotation.
Okay, so I'll explain this whole situation. So the situation was that after the Avant thing happens, right, a lot of people knew of me. They didn't know me, but they knew of me. And one of the people that started watching my streams more and more was Karis Mai, right? Because he was like, bro, this guy's fucking crazy, you know? So Karis Mai would sit there and he would watch me every day with Stevens, right? And they would just sit there and watch me every day, right? And they would sit there and they would be like, yo, this guy's actually insane. So then over time, we ended up talking, and over time we ended up becoming friends and stuff like that. And after a while, he put me on this thing called an auto host. And what an auto host was is, it's imagine I go offline right now, all the people that would be on my stream end up being directed to Karis Mai stream. So it's sort of a way to think of view botting, right? The way that mobile fire guides work. So there'd be some days where I remember, because two of the people that were on Karis Mai's auto host were me and Hishinshin. And the problem with Bastard Hishinshin is that he would go live keep in mind this was before his whole controversy and before everyone knew the extent of what had happened, right? It was back when Hishinshin was still a well-respected league creator, still on Twitch and all that. And the problem with Bastard Hishinshin is that every day that guy would go live at fucking 8 a.m. He would go live at 8 a.m. and the auto host would quite literally 4x my viewers, right? Instead of having, let's say, 40 viewers, I would instead have 200 viewers, okay, with Karis Mai's auto host. So I got to a point where there were some days where they would just wake up and set an alarm, praying to God that Hishinshin wasn't fucking awake so that he wouldn't take the auto host. You know what I mean? It was actually crazy. But yeah, so that's how crazy the auto host was.
Would play instead. This boost almost doubled Dantes' viewer numbers, but viewership aside, Dantes has also said that Karis Mai helped him break free from his quote cringe sexual harasser persona and help the community see him in a new light.
Yeah, so essentially the whole thing with Karis Mai was that it helped because at the time you have to understand that literally everyone was against me, right? And to have one guy out there that was kind of no, he's kind of chill, don't worry about it. It helped a lot with people being maybe we'll give him a chance. But I think the Karis Mai auto hosting brought my viewers from maybe let's say 80 to 90 up to probably 150 around there, something like that.
Still a seemingly deranged deviant in many ways, but at least Karis Mai helped Dantes get out of the shadow of his previous incident with ZOWIE. By mid-August, Dantes had over 10,000 followers on Twitch and was averaging about 150 viewers per stream. Dantes had built an impressive following. And shortly after, however, Dantes and Karis Mai parted ways, this time due largely to what seems like a misunderstanding more than anything else.
Yep.
According to Dantes, when he knew that Karis Mai and fellow League streamer Stevens were in the middle of a climb, he thought it would be fun to Q-snipe and try to get on the same team as them. It didn't work out that way, and Dantes ended up being put on the opposing team. Karis Mai knew what Dantes had done and banned Heckrim, but Dantes ended up winning the match with Sejuani Jungle. Shortly after the match, Karis Mai messaged Dantes and told him that he had been blocked on everything. Whereas Dantes was just trying to get into a game with his friends, he ended up beating them during a climb.
Yeah, so essentially, okay, so this is the story. So the story was Charisma and Stevens are doing an insane try-hard run. This is back when you could duo in Challenger, by the way. And they sat there and they were like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to try for the highest win rate ever duo to Chal. So they were on an account that was like, I think 40 wins, like 1 loss, right? Insane run. And at the time, I played Hecker mid. Stevens played top, Charisma played jungle. So I was like, imagine I queue up and I get on their team. How cool would that be? So we're sitting there. I'm queuing up for a game. I get on the enemy team, right? And I was mid lane. And I message Charisma. I'm like, yo, I'm against you. So he knew he was against me, so he banned Hecarim. And then my jungler said, yo, Dantes, just go jungle. Go jungle, play Sejuani if Hecarim's banned. So I said, okay, sure. And I won the game. And then the thing is, Charisma viewed it as a thing where it's like, I sat there, I like gave this guy auto host, I helped him like learn a lot of the Twitch scene and all that stuff. And the way he repays me is by like being cringe and stream sniping me and making me lose, right? Which I understand where he was coming from. So what happened was, is after that, him and Stevens just both like completely blocked me on everything. And I think they ended up losing like 3 games in a row after that as well. So it just made them hate me even longer. You know, it's like if it would have been 1 loss, maybe they would have unblocked me after a week. But it's because they lost versus me, and then they lost 3 in a row after that. So then I was, I think, blocked for like 4 or 5 months at least.
Definitely been very important to them, and this ended Dante's relationship with Charisma.
Yep. And Stevens.
Dantes was removed from the auto-hosting list, and his viewers had gone down to 70 to 100 per stream.
Yep.
It was also around this time when Dantes began to purge his own community. He said that his persona on Twitch had bred an extremely toxic chat, and he felt like he was no longer able to keep up with it. In his tweet longer from August 31st...
Okay, so this action you explain. So the reason why the falling out with Charisma hit way harder than normally it would have is because you have to understand that we were in talks to literally doing a gaming house, unironically. You have to understand that we were literally in talks with like me, Professor Kali, Charisma, and then I think 3 e-girls. One of them was Cutie Kitten, Aliri, and who was the other one? Kaya, I think. So it was supposed to be a gaming house of 3 guys, 3 girls, and it was supposed to be this like big drama house, right, in Texas. And the thing is that Charisma was like the main guy of the group because he was obviously the biggest content creator, best friends in the scene. And then afterwards, I'd also purged a lot of my community because I wanted my community to be more welcoming to new individuals. Because when you're a smaller streamer and you have like a super toxic community, the problem is that new viewers don't want to be a part of that, right? So I was like, oh, well, since I'm going to be doing a gaming house, I need to have like a fresh slate. So I want to like start purging the community. So it got to a point where my best friends hated me. My future projects died, my viewers hated me as well, and the general community as well still hated me. So it literally felt like it was me against the world, unironically. Me and my like 40, 50 viewers at the time against the world.
Same one as the ZOWIE apology, Dantes replayed how hard he found full-time streaming to be.
Yep.
In his words, he found that to stream consistently, you regularly had to be insincere and fake, ditching any form of compassion or empathy you may have.
This is true.
In this same message, Dantes suggested that unless things considerably changed for him, he would leave streaming behind and return to school. In one last
100%
effort,
true.
he unblocked everyone on socials and in his chat and continued to stream until the time came when he needed to decide whether or not to re-enroll in classes. Dantes was close to reaching the point of no return. Turns out, Dantes made the right decision. As he continued to stream, fully embracing the high-energy persona that seemed to resonate with so many people, his channel began to see massive growth, gaining hundreds of followers every week. By the end of 2020, he was up to over 14,000 followers on Twitch, and usually averaging...
So essentially what happened is I call it the dark period. So after I lost everything, right, the problem is that I had also taken the semester off of school because I was like, oh, well, I'm going to be doing all these big plans. I don't have time for school. So what happened is for the months of September, October, November, December, I wasn't in school and I was full-time streaming to 40 viewers. I wanted to literally, because I was just sitting there thinking, how much time am I wasting? Literally, just how much time am I fucking wasting? You know what I mean? So I was sitting there and every single day I was depressed. It was COVID as well. And nothing was open, so I couldn't even go to the gym. It was literally just a horrible time, horrible few months. But then what happened is it all changed in November when I got accepted back into the next semester of school. And then I started thinking to myself, oh, streaming isn't actually something I have to accomplish now. It can just be for fun again. So then I started having a better attitude on my streams. I started having more fun with it. It started becoming a lot more enjoyable. And that's when I started to really enjoy myself more, and my viewer count increase started to happen upwards again, right? And that's also around the time as well that I had made amends with Steven's Charisma, because like 4 or 5 months had passed. And then it felt like I was like on a nice track again, you know, like got my friends back, actually have a developing community again. My YouTube channel was doing like decently, getting 1,000 to 2,000 views a video, you know. Things were starting to feel like good again.
100 to 200 viewers per stream. Now, let's just take a second to remind you that all of the stuff we've talked about so far happened in Dantes' first year of streaming. In 1 year, the guy built over 14,000 followers, consistently got hundreds of people to watch his stream, and found himself embroiled in controversy on multiple occasions.
Yep.
The fact that all of this happened in such a short amount of time is fitting to Dantes' rise. For him, everything went fast. But this first year was nothing compared to the blow-up he would receive later on.
Oh, this is crazy.
In 2021, Dantes continued to regularly stream, consistently racking up more viewers and followers as he went. He was also very active on Twitter. Similarly to his TwitLonger post from August of 2020, he wasn't shy in criticizing the Twitch community. While Dantes' popularity continued to grow,
Sure.
he began to see more and more.
So true. Everyone thinks you're a piece of shit until your viewer count is higher than theirs. Whether they hate or like you depends on what will get them furthest, not how they view you as a person. Completely true.
While Dantes' popularity continued to grow, he began to see more and more of the dark side of content creation. People using other people, people being disingenuous, and ultimately doing anything they can just to further their own careers.
Yep.
People being, entrepreneurs. Throughout 2021...
Because the thing you have to understand about streaming as well is that streaming is kind of like, it's almost like selling yourself, you know, like you're not selling a product, you're selling yourself. And there are some people that they end up turning friendships into like business opportunities. Does that make sense? And that's when things become a bit weird.
Able to grow from 14,000 followers to almost 51,000 by the end of the year. It was also in August of 2021 that he started his YouTube channel.
No. That's wrong. Okay, so that's actually wrong. And the reason why it's wrong is because he forgot about my other YouTube channel. So I have a YouTube channel that's rebranded nowadays, and it's called ZOWIE Shorts, right? But if you look at the old videos of this channel, you'll see that it's stuff like this 3 years ago, okay? And the thing he was saying as well about the December in 2021 thing, that's also a tiny bit wrong, and I'll explain why. So what happened is when me and Paris, we kind of like got back together, right? And we became friends again. And then around that summer, what actually ended up happening wasn't that I created a new channel. It is. It's I created a new channel, but it wasn't my first YouTube channel. Because what had happened is the year prior, right? So the summer where me and Paris had that falling out, he had actually put me in contact with Professor Kali. And Professor Kai was managing my YouTube channel, okay? So the one that you guys just saw. So what happened is that after about a year of managing, Charisma brought me in as well, and we were kind of doing this multi-part Twitch/YouTube deal where it was kind of like, think of it like a group where it's like constant hosts between one another, shouting each other out, collabs with one another to like mutually grow, okay? And then what ended up happening is that when people ended up catching wind of this, because a content creator had like leaked something, then people started shitting on Charisma and Professor Kali for the management thing. And so Professor Kali decided to say fuck it, and he stopped managing YouTube channels. So around the time that Professor Kali stopped managing YouTube channels was that summer that I created this channel. Because what I had said was that I felt like my first YouTube channel with all those like, hey guys, like new Heckran builds here, I felt like it was never really me. So I said I wanted to start fresh, use my old channel to like make, I guess, documentary videos and stuff like that. And then have a new YouTube channel where it showcased my actual personality, right? So I'll show you guys this actually. So you guys are gonna see instantly that it's completely different, right? BBC like these tunnels are completely different compared to this, right? And it's because I wanted these ones to showcase my personality. Does that make sense? And that's why around that time as well, if you guys look, we scroll down, we scroll down, we scroll down, we scroll down, boom, 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 boom. Keep scrolling down, boom, 2 years ago. This is around where the rebrand happened, and instead of using this to upload actual YouTube videos, I wanted to do story videos where I did like this, you know? So that's why it was around that time that I rebranded this channel, and then I started doing this channel. And the reason why I say the Twitch thing he was saying was wrong was because what had happened is I was hard stuck around 150 viewers from December of 2020 until about August of 2020. And it was around August of 2020 that I started saying I want to do everything I can because I truly want to make it as a content creator, and 100 viewers isn't going to cut it. And that's the reason why I started a bunch of new things. I did my like story time videos. I did my actual stream highlights. I would stream every day. I started doing TikTok, right? I would post every day on Twitter. And it was only after, I think, 2 or 3 months of doing this that in October, I started popping off because of a meme that I started doing on Twitter called The Final Transfer. So it was October that I started blowing up. It wasn't like randomly throughout the year. I was hard stuck, and then October, shoom, views skyrocketed. Yeah, he gains, okay? So every day I would transfer my account and I would say today's the final transfer. And then I would do this every single day on Twitter. And I was spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on it. So eventually people were like, yo, this guy's fucking mentally ill. And when they started saying that, everyone started watching me. My viewer count went from 200, right, to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I remember on the last day of the season, I was peaking 1.1 thousand viewers. 1.1 thousand from being 200 hard stuck. And then the reason why my growth still continued throughout January, right, and up until January, was because I would sit there and every single fucking day in preseason, I would be live for 16 hours a day, screaming and getting hype and going crazy. Every single day. I sat there, and when every other streamer was like, CBA, I don't want to stream, I don't want to like play preseason, I was streaming 16 hours a day of preseason. So then people were like, yo, this guy's fucking crazy. And they started watching me more and more, and then it was beginning of season that it started like to really go insane.
Mark with a few, he grew on YouTube as well. When things really changed for Dantes was in 2022. In January, Dantes started with 51,000 followers. 5 months later, in May, the number hit the 100,000 mark. By December, it was up to 214,000. Dantes was finally starting to see some serious growth, averaging 2,000 to 3,000 viewers per stream.
The sad thing is he completely skipped over this entire year, because this was like one of the most insane years ever. This was the year where I can kind of like give you guys a rundown of what happened. So January, February was like beginning of season hype. Then February, I got banned for my name, ZOWIE, and I was forced to rebrand Doubly Purple. Then for like 3 or 4 months, I was super fucking depressed. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I hate my name on Twitch. I hate the fact that like I feel no hype for streaming anymore, whatever. Then I got the name rebrand around, I think it was, I want to say around April, actually. So I got the name rebrand to Dantes around April, and then that's when I went to Quebec City with detention, and we stayed there for around 3 weeks, right? And after staying there for 3 weeks, I was playing on the EUS server and everything. Then I went back home, and then that's when I started like dating the person that like cheated on me and all that stuff, and then that's what set off like the rest of the months, right?
January, Dantes started with 51,000 followers. 5 months later,
but it's like he says 5 months later in May he was 100,000, but it was like January, February, I gained like 40,000 followers, and then over the course of like 2 months, I gained maybe 10,000.
May, the number hit the 100,000 mark. By December, it was up to 214,000.
Yep.
Dantes was finally starting to see some serious growth, averaging 2,000 to 3,000 viewers per stream, even peaking at over 9,500.
That was in EU.
Consistent streaming, plus his activity on other social media networks like YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok, contributed to him quickly becoming one of the most popular League streamers around. While 2022 was when Dantes' content career really began to take off, it was also the start of his most significant beef, one that in many ways is still ongoing. This is the drama with Elo Santa.
Oh, he actually
Elo
does cover
Santa
it.
is a Lithuanian League streamer who had a brief professional career on multiple teams, ending with a streaming position on Fnatic. Now, the beef between the two streamers has had many ups and downs, but it started with Elo Santa trash-talking Dantes on stream and on Twitter, saying he had fallen off, was downright cringe, and essentially just bad-mouthing him on all platforms.
Yep.
Dantes decided to try and squash this seemingly out-of-nowhere beef by calling Elo Santa on Discord and airing out his grievances, essentially saying Elo Santa just viewed everyone as a vehicle to make money for himself.
Yeah, but see, this is my problem with you. It's like, why the fuck do you even feel the need to give your opinion about someone else?
This is Vashima, just like whatever thought pops into my head, I just spit it out, you know?
Obviously, and
don't
this is
hold
what I'm telling you. This is your problem, is you just view everyone as content farming. You don't view anyone as an actual person. Why do you think I don't like you?
Like, what can I possibly gain by being your friend?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Doctors telling me, yo, you need to lay off. I was like, no, I need to win this bet. I need to win this bet, you know. And I still remember at one point when he had won the bet, right? Obviously because I was playing on EUS with 100 ping with hard problems, right? I still remember around that time was his first career trip, and when I donated him the money, he did like a money spread. And instead of being like, oh, thanks for all that, he was just like, yeah, like easy money or some shit. And I was like, damn, dude. But yeah, so like that was that story.
Dantes wouldn't make Challenger by the end of the month. Neither of the streamers were shy in trading blows on Twitter during this time, but Dantes ultimately lost the bet and humbly donated €1,000 to Elo Santa's stream, complete with
Yeah, so that's the thing, is that the bet that I donated, right? I donated not when he had made that tweet about EU, because when he had made a tweet about EU and doing another bet, I said no. But it was before that, like months before.
cordial message.
Yeah, see?
Can we get this?
Here.
Wait, can we get a pivot?
I'll get Chal one day. Just wasn't meant to be this month.
See? Like, sending a nice message, being like,
Enjoy
okay.
the rest of the trip.
Damn, with a nice message as well.
Yeah.
It was around
And
this
they did a
time
money
that
spread.
Dantes also suffered a serious health scare,
Yeah.
going to the hospital for heart problems that nearly killed him and severely limited.
Look, see, do you see what I mean, though? Haven't been able to stream more than 5 hours because of heart problems. Regardless, was able to go from D1 to Masters 150 in 3 days. Once this is fixed, we go GM. Keep in mind that this tweet was literally made after the doctors told me, yo, you almost died and you need to take months off.
His ability to stream. The end of the bet seemed to quiet things for a little while between the two streamers, but the worst was yet to come. In July, Dantes announced that his girlfriend had cheated on him, and he took to stream to share his feelings about the ordeal, also posting an uncut video of the stream on his YouTube channel. In this video, Dantes was incredibly real and vulnerable about the pain and the betrayal he felt, while also not letting it break him down. This is an example of one of the prime reasons for Dantes' massive popularity. Sure, he's crazy and loud and he says things that are downright insane, but Dantes has always had the ability to be real when he needed to be real. And whenever Dantes chose to shed the Twitch persona and be candid with his viewers, he has always been very down-to-earth, calm, intelligent, and articulate. This adds an extra layer to him that makes him all the more relatable and approachable. It also gives a lot of validity to his early claims on Twitter that streamers are not their personas. Dantes can be as crazy as he wants on stream, but got his chat to invade Dantes's and post trolling hurtful messages, and he generally acted downright evil. He then posted the entire uncut video to his own YouTube channel. If that wasn't bad enough, Elo Santa invited the guy Dantes' ex cheated on him with to laugh with him on stream. I mean, come on.
Yeah, because they were
How
friends.
cruel can you get? Here was a guy who has just had near-fatal heart problems. Then his girlfriend cheats on him, and you just do everything you can to inflict as much personal pain as possible. This was a new low for Elo Santa, and needless to say, it revitalized the beef between the two streamers. It's also important to know that while now Elo Santa has largely fallen off and Dantes has massively surpassed him in popularity, at the time, Elo Santa was a much bigger creator.
Yeah, at the time I think he was like, so I was maybe on average 600 viewers, and I think he was averaging like 3,000, and his YouTube videos would get like 3 to 4 times the amount of views mine
Going
did.
back to the point that Dantes raised before about it only being about the money for Elo Santa, Dantes actually released screenshots between him and Elo Santa's editor that show that these videos weren't even monetized.
We're like 500 viewers to maybe like 7,000. And essentially, when I did that EU trip, because I had a lot of like beef with him, I made it my mission that was like, I need to like go at this guy, right? So every day I would tweet at him. I said, you want to call me a bad player? Look at my win rate. You know, I'd play against him. I would sit there and be like, oh, look who's winning. You know, like just constantly. He would sit there, put a comment on Twitter. I tried ratioing him every day, right? So then at one point, he sits there and he tries to like comment on Andrea Botez's tweet, okay?
Point on Elo Santa and Dantes.
So then,
the jabs on
so after this, it's because I called myself the Rizzer. And the entire reason why I sat there and I kind of like blew up in EU was one of the parts was because my Twitter started going crazy because I would sit there and comment these like corny pickup lines under girls' like tweets, okay? And every single day, I would literally comment under maybe 100 girls' tweets, corny pickup lines with a picture like this every day, calling myself like the Rizzer, right? So then what happens is I started having more fun. It was like enjoyable, all that stuff. And then I said, oh, like I'll ratio him with this, okay? So then what he did was he commented this
Twitter constantly. And so
where he said, nah, Brody, you need to enroll in the Riz Academy. And it was because a girl, right? I don't know if he sent her or if she just like sent this him or whatever it was. But a girl sat there and messaged me on Instagram and I was like flirting, whatever, like normal shit. And I had sent this video, right? And he blurred the video to make it look like I was holding my. And I sat there, I said, what kind of bullshit is that to blur? Because the real thing is me sitting there and like just flexing. And you can't see my or anything, right? Like you see that I'm wearing pants and shit. So then I comment this. And after that, that's when he had blocked me. And that was like kind of when the beef with him had kind of ended. And the reason why I say kind of ended is because he then tried approaching me at TwitchCon a few months later. And I don't know. That was like a whole other cringe thing. But yeah, so then that's when like the whole thing kind of ended because he had blocked me after that and we just like didn't really interact for a while.
making personal attacks. There even came a point where Elo Santa posted screenshots from a woman who had supposedly received explicit photos from Dantes.
Yeah.
Dantes immediately responded, exposing Elo Santa by revealing that the picture Elo Santa referenced was edited to look worse than it was.
Yeah,
and
literally.
also claiming Elo Santa sent the girl into Dantes' DMs just for this purpose. I mean, it really seems like Elo Santa was doing all he could to try and hurt Dantes and his reputation. The guy stopped at nothing, and for what? The beef between Dantes and Elo Santa was long and ugly, and it lasted throughout the second half of 2022 into 2023. Through it all, Dantes continued to stream, and if you think 2022 was a big year, think again. From January to December of 2023, Dantes' followers grew from 214,000 to 800,000. He had officially skyrocketed in popularity.
So it's important to note that part of the reason why is because at the time, that's when I said I'm going to take editing super serious. And at the time, I had literally employed 20 different TikTok and YouTube Shorts editors to post clips of me. And I was spending anywhere between $20,000 to $40,000 a month on editing, right? I was literally losing money every month as one of the biggest content creators on the platform because I was spending 5 figures a month on editing. Not even kidding, by the way.
And was even nominated for a Streamer Award. And this is where Dantes' last bit of drama occurs. First of all, 2023 is the year that the beef with
it's funny. It's funny. So when they actually nominated me as Best League of Legends streamer, keep in mind that at this point, I think 3 or 4 years had elapsed since the like Yvonne incident, and some of the people that were like involved in her circle sat there and they were reacting to the fact that I got nominated and saying that I was worse than Hitler. You think I'm kidding? I promise you I'm not. There was one guy that was saying there, he's like, there are 3 people that I hate on this planet. One I won't name, Hitler and Dantes. I was like, what the fuck? And then there was this other guy sitting there talking about how I was the biggest piece of shit ever and he hates me. Funny story, actually, I saw that guy at TwitchCon, stared him down, and he didn't even look me back in the fucking eye. Yeah, that's what I thought.
For a streamer award.
Talk big online.
And this is where Dantes' last bit of drama occurs. First of all, 2023 is the year that the beef with Elo Santa was briefly revisited. A TikTok in which someone in Dantes' stream said he reminds them of Elo Santa prompted Dantes to reiterate the entire saga from the year before, and this brought many people onto Dantes' side and hurt Elo Santa's reputation even more. Elo Santa aside, it's important to note that Dantes is not a Twitch partner, despite applying for the position over 20 times and having some of the best numbers on the platform. Out of the top 100 League of Legends streamers by follower count, Dantes is number 28, and he is only one of 2 in the top 100 not partnered by Twitch. Now, as we've seen, Dantes has said some questionable things in the past.
You know that this guy's gonna be on the enemy team. You know what I mean?
You know, this is one of my most famous clips ever, and most people don't even know that it's from looking at my matches.
Dude, I wanna.
And while this may be a contributing factor to his failure to gain a partnership, we all know that he isn't the only streamer to say stuff like this. Another big reason is most likely his early drama with Yvonne. Regardless of why Twitch has never agreed to give Dantes a partnership, he continues to apply with no signs of stopping. In his own words, Twitch saw him yordles. In addition to his lack of partnership after getting nominated for League Streamer of the Year, he was actually asked to not attend the Streamer Awards due to complaints about his presence and nomination.
Yep.
This received mixed reactions from the gaming community. In many ways, the Dantes from the Yvonne incident is a different Dantes than we see today. And Dantes also frequently talks about how his streaming persona isn't the real him. Not to mention, there are countless Twitch streamers.
Well, I mean, how can I explain it? It's not necessarily that my streaming persona isn't the real me. It's just that there are different parts of me. Does that make sense? Like, if I were to be in a group setting in public, the way that I act on stream is the same way that you'll see me acting then, right? But it's just that, like, I have times where it's like, I'll sit there and I'll be like, hype. I have times where I'll sit there and be more like funny. I have other times where I'll sit there and I'll just be like chilling, you know, just talking about different ideas. You know, it's like, they're just different parts of me rather than just being like what people say on the clips, you know?
Of baggage that have never been banned from events or received the sort of backlash that Dantes has. All of this aside, the harassment that he displayed early in his career was inexcusable, and it is still causing him trouble to this day. Dantes tweeted in October of 2023 that his Twitch persona has actually caused him a great deal of distress, similar to the sentiments he shared back in 2020. It seems clear that streaming has been a complicated career for Dantes, and with all the upsides come plenty of downsides. That brings us to today. Dantes is still on the rise, with no signs of slowing down, and his Twitch account is up to over 900,000 followers, while his YouTube is at 400,000 subscribers. He averages anywhere from 3,000 to 6,000 viewers per stream, and he's even hit a peak of over 26,000.
Yep, that was the stream where I was doing the round table because we all got banned in Korea. Before that, I peaked 24,000 when I hit Challenger Korea. I'd also peaked 22,000 when I was neck and neck with TF Blade for the Dantes Challenger race 2 years ago. And then I'd also peaked around 13,000, 14,000 with the Dantes Invitational. And I also peaked 17,000 at one point while we were here scrimming early on in the Brazil trip.
Dantes' rise to fame was swift. He showed promise early, and despite some bumps in the road, he really hit a stride in 2022, snowballing into one of the most popular streamers on Twitch. He's had his fair share of controversy and drama, and while he's not for everyone, The persona that he's embraced for his streams has given him massively positive results. Whether you view him as a crazy meme, as a challenge to riots and Twitch's authority, or just a skilled hacker and player, Dantes has made quite the impression for a 22-year-old. It's exciting and kind of scary to think what he has in store for the future. Thank you for watching LOL Athlete.
Good video. I liked it. I actually liked it though. Yeah. But no, that's the thing is that the cool thing about this is I genuinely feel like if someone were to make an actual like full video on me, right? Like it could literally be a documentary. And it could be like an hour and a half of straight talking, and I promise you wouldn't get bored. Because one of the funniest stories about me is that at one point I actually made my own documentary video. Unironically, the story of Dono. After I'd gotten banned on Twitch, I was like, let me make a story so that people will like, you know what I mean? And then over here I kind of just like talked about a bunch of shit.
Time to streaming. I would wake up, plan ended up following.
You know, and this is where a lot of people get a lot of like information from. But even this is like
city, the crime is fading, moving on. I sometimes have wondered where you've gone. Story carries on, lonely, lost inside. I had this dream so many times. The moments we spent has passed and gone away. Could there be an end to this? What I'm feeling deep inside. You know there's no looking back. Glassy sky above. As long as I'm alive, you will be part of me. Glassy sky, the cold, the broken pieces of me. The mystery of it I recall. Suddenly the truth will change the way we fall. I didn't want to hurt you, hope you know. Empty promises, shattered dreams of love. Sometimes I wonder what's beyond. I tried many times to make it up to you. Can somebody tell me what to do? Thought we're meant to be. There's no going back. Time has already come. Sun is gone and no more shadows. Can't give up, I know, and this life goes on. I'll be strong. I'll be strong till I see the end. be